when life happens, you can go immediately to this is an opportunity. There's something good about what's happening right now. If I choose to see that, because as human beings, we love to be right. And if you can choose there's something good about this, you're going to be right about finding something good about it. And if you choose the doom and gloom, you're going to be right about that. And you're probably going to attract more doom and gloom.
Hello, and welcome to the PSI Podcast, a podcast for you to explore where a life lived with purpose meets transformation. Each week, we will bring you powerful insights, inspiring stories, and real-world tools for you to break through your limitations, unlock your potential, and live the life you are meant to. I'm your host, Tim Bowen.
And I am your co-host, Mackenzie O'Kelley. For more than 50 years, PSI Seminars and PSI World have helped thousands of people create the life they deserve to live. And now, it's your turn.
All right, well, welcome back to the PSI Podcast. My name is Tim. We are joined again today for part 2 of overcoming fear and rejection so we can take our power back with Renee Cermak. Renee is an author of How to Be Your Biggest Fan, all about self-esteem. It's an amazing read. If you haven't let yourself get through that book yet, you definitely want to look that up, get yourself a copy. Renee is also a longtime advocate for PSI Seminars and PSI World, has been a wonderful partner over the years, and is definitely an inspiration to so many of us. And as always, I'm Tim. I'm joined by Mackenzie. And Mackenzie, why don't you take it away?
Hello again. So part 1, we talked about reframing our relationship with rejection and fear. And so, Renee, a lot of people, we hear this, like, okay, great. So how? Like, how do I do that? And so you have an excellent tool that you work a lot on. And so give us something tangible. Like, how do we do that?
We have something called the change chart to support us from having a different relationship with fear. So I think you would agree with that. Sometimes what is in the way with having a different relationship with failure, rejection, pressure, the word no, is our fear of what we're going to experience, our fear about what's going to come up, our fear about, and so most people, when you ask them about their fears, and we're not talking about fear of snakes or heights, we're talking more about with PSI seminars, language in the form of programs. So fear of failure or fear of abandonment or fear of not being enough or fear of, and so what we found is that all of those fears, there's one really big one, and that is the fear of rejection. And then all of those other fears are kind of sub fears under the main tent of rejection.
The side shows, if you will. When you say main tent, I think of a circus. So it's like a circus of rejection. And then it's like the sideshow is the other stuff.
Exactly. You have the main tent and then you have the sideshow tents. And so the main tent is rejection, and then you have the side tents of, but all of those are a subset of rejection. What's going to happen if you get rejected? Then I'm going to be abandoned. Then I'm going to be alone. Then I'm going to be da 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 da. And so, so the change chart is a way to have a different relationship with fear so it doesn't stop you from having a new relationship with rejection, no, and all of that good stuff. And so I want you to think about, so with a change chart, anytime that change is present, so meaning anytime we're going to be a beginner, anytime we're going to do something new, anytime we're going to take a risk, fear is going to be present. There is no way to get around that. It's like hand in hand with change. So if you don't want to experience fear, then you better remain exactly as you are right now with no changing allowed. So if you want,
Renee, I want to add something. So for those that don't know, I'm the producer for the Life Success course, which is what you take after the basic seminar. And every single time we have people, when we ask, what's your goal? What do you want to, come home with after this Life Success course? And every single time, at least one person will say, I want to be fearless. And it's like, that's not a thing to have big stuff fear will exist. And it's just that natural avoidance of I don't want to have any fear and still get all of my goals. And like, well, it's not quite how that works.
Well, and the same thing, like even in the basic seminar, there's a segment of the basic all about goals. And part of having an effective goal is making sure it's a risk for us, right? Otherwise, why are we doing it? And like, how do we know it's a risk? Because it starts to give us a little bit of fear, right? It gives us the butterflies in the stomach. So it's like that fear is such a good thing to experience.
Yeah, so if you don't want any more excitement, in your life, then you better remain the same, no changing and not allowing the fear to come up. And Mackenzie, that what happens that those are people on day 1 of size 7. By day 7 of size 7, they're not requesting the same thing. They don't want to go home fearless because they have a new relationship with fear as a result of the 7 days of the life success course, which is what it's designed for, is to create a different relationship with fear instead of allowing fear to stop you, to use it as an ally and to recognize those butterflies as excitement slash fear. And this is an opportunity to say yes to versus to say no to. And so by the time you come home from size 7, you have countless um, experiences of the fear comes up, the programs come up. Can I do this? Am I enough? All the questioning and the doubts. You move forward anyway. Pretty soon you're on the other side with success, again, with a big old smile on your face, all proud about what you did. Because one of the reasons why we get so proud of ourselves is because it would have been easy to not do it, and we did it anyway. It's the same thing with like, there's so many like the difficult things. It would have been easy to say no, and we did it anyway. And now we have self esteem, and now we have pride, and now we have another piece of evidence that is not bigger than us. That at some point we thought, oh my God, that's bigger than me. And then you get through it to the other side, and you get to add it to the list of one more thing that I thought was going to be bigger than me, that I thought it was going to be too scary to do. And yet I kept moving. Pretty soon I got to the other side. And if that wasn't bigger than me, because I believe this is what personal growth, this is what Size Seminars is all about. If that wasn't bigger than me, then what else that I made up that is bigger than me also is not bigger than me if I use my tools, if I surround myself with support, and if I keep moving forward and get to the other side. And Size Seminars is just like by the time you finish these classes, you have evidence after evidence, experience after experience of all the things that were not bigger than you, hence a different relationship with fear. And so back to the change chart, that when change is present, fear is present, like equal sign. If you're going to be a beginner, if you're going to do something new, there's no way for fear not to be present at the same time. However, you can let that fear cause you to go to the bottom side of the change chart, what I call doom and gloom, or you can use that fear to move you to the top side of the change chart, enabling you to view what's in front of you as an opportunity. And so it's pretty similar to, the half is glass empty is the bottom side of the change chart. Your view of like you predominantly live either on the top side of the change chart, viewing things as an opportunity, as growth, as expansion, as excitement, as abundance, as solutions, or you predominantly live on the bottom side of the change chart where you see things and experience things as uncomfortable, as scarcity. There's 2 ways that we show up on the bottom side of the change chart. We're either in avoidance, right? Some of the ways we avoid are we get sick, we quit, we use drugs, alcohol, we go shopping, we go surfing the internet, anything to avoid, or we point fingers and we say it's her fault or his fault or my boss's fault or anything in order to take on the responsibility ourselves. So when we live our lives from the bottom side of the change chart, there's not a lot of great results that come from there. And it's a pretty doom and gloom attitude, meaning that when something happens, you can either view it as an opportunity or as doom and gloom. So for example, you get fired, right? Some people will go immediately to the bottom side of the change chart and it means this and it's terrible and oh my God, Yet, have you ever experienced being fired and 3 days later, it was the best thing that ever happened because new doors opened and you met and you stopped a, maybe a toxic situation, and now you don't have that anymore. And so now you're at the top side of the change chart viewing it as an opportunity. So the point with the change chart is that when life happens, because life is going to keep happening, when life happens, you can go immediately to this is an opportunity. There's something good about what's happening right now if I choose to see that, because as human beings we love to be right. And if you can choose there's something good about this, you're going to be right about something, finding something good about it. And if you choose the doom and gloom, you're going to be right about that, and you're probably going to attract more doom and gloom.
Yeah, I think back to like my early 20s, and I was not in like a solid financial place like many people in their early 20s, right? Like I'm getting going in my adult life, like figuring things out. Starting to make okay money, but it wasn't like really set up for life. And my car got stolen. Car got broken into, stolen. I walk out of the house one day, car's gone. And I thought back to the change chart from our PLD program, and I was like, okay, I'm going to see this as an opportunity. And I had to like get out of the pity party of it and be like, I was able to fairly quickly get myself to getting excited about getting a new car, even though I had no idea how I was going to get a new car. I was like, this is what I get to do now.
Well, and it's like we talk about in some of the more advanced courses of like we are meaning making machines, and it's like we can absolutely make up either meaning. Like, sure, this sucks and we're avoiding and it's the worst thing of all time, or it could be like, cool, I get a new car.
Right. And I did, and I loved it. And then a few years later, somebody smashed into it while it was parked, and I got to get another new car.
You're manifesting all these new cars.
But if you're watching us right now, you'll have seen the change chart on the screen. So, like the thing that I like, how I know when I'm on the bottom versus when I'm on the top is like, am I choosing my kind of go-to default status, comfortable state of being, which I know for me, and I think it's not that uncommon, is to kind of be more on that negative pity party kind of track, right? Or am I choosing to be uncomfortable, choosing to stretch myself, choosing to take a risk and like not let it get me down? Do it anyway, even if it's just because I said so.
So, Renee, one of the things that I take away from all of your workshops and everything is that how you are so brilliantly able to manage the voices that we all have in our head. The ones that say, no, don't do that, don't do this, avoid, wait till tomorrow, sleep on the couch for a minute, do it later, like all of those little voices, like you are able to have these conversations and be like, no, 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 not right now. Or I hear you, appreciate you, and I'm going to do this anyway, because I find that I have to laugh at myself when I put things off, and I finally do it for whatever reason. It's finally the time. And it takes 4 minutes. Like there was a task that I've been putting off and it took me 4 minutes. And it's even a choice to laugh at that. If we recall from part 1, I asked about that beat up, because that's very real for me of like, oh my God, I could have beat myself up for wasting all that time when it took 4 minutes, or laugh at myself like, hello. And so like, how do you manage these inner conversations and like have fun with it versus letting it run you?
Yeah, I remember I was working with somebody and they asked me, "What happens when that voice comes up and it says blah blah blah? What do you do about that?" I go, "Well, this might sound a little strange. However, I talk to those voices. There's lots of conversations happening, and I even name my programs, my limiting beliefs and my powerful beliefs. So they have names, they have wardrobe, they have dialogue, because I enjoy laughing. And I feel like these are all parts of myself. Because I used to hear people talk about, like, that my limiting beliefs, I just want to get rid of those parts of me. I'm like, no, 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 let's not get rid of them, because they're all parts of you. And we created the limiting beliefs in order to survive. So great news. We're here today. We have survived, but now a lot of people are interested in possibly thriving instead of surviving. and not letting the limiting beliefs run the show. So we're not able to get rid of the limiting beliefs. What we are able to do though is minimize them to this big, from, gigantic to squashing them to be this big. So one of my limiting beliefs, scarcity. I used to like me and my husband, if there's a spectrum, I'm over here, frugal, and he's over here saving the economy. And somehow, we arrive in the middle and support each other so that I actually spend money, he actually saves money. It's a brilliant partnership.
There's
However,
there's a particular nationwide coffee chain that has only survived all of these years due to
Yep.
your husband's business.
it's so true. And it's not just one business. There's several businesses that he is truly committed to. So when I first started my personal growth journey, my scarcity beliefs were so big they ran the show. Now today I've squashed them. They're only this big. And I love I can appreciate my scarcity mindset. In fact, it's made sure that I've saved lots of money. So I can be appreciative about that. And yet I am very picky about when my scarcity program, her name is Sally. Sally is, she's got a bunch, she's got a pencil up there, she's got a clipboard, she's got a pencil skirt, like again, dialogue, wardrobe, like the whole deal. And so Sally, likes to save me money. So I like to put Sally in the corner with a clipboard and my net worth and let her go to town. And, she like minds her business over there. Now, occasionally, though, when I'm out shopping, Sally will attempt to run the show, and I'll find myself unconsciously heading over to the sales section, of which I have to tell Sally that she has not been invited to my shopping trip because she does not pick quality stuff. Okay. She picks cheap things. So me and Sally have conversations. Now, when I do let Sally out to play is when we have our yearly houseboat trip, and it's like $30,000, and she gets to save money and buy bulk. And she's like, she has field day. Okay. So that's what I mean about naming limiting beliefs. And I'm sure you would all agree that you talk to yourselves. So maybe having productive conversations versus, unproductive conversations with you and your multiple selves.
Because we all have them.
Yeah.
We do.
Whether we choose to admit it or not.
I think it's so freeing when you talk about that, because people do say that I want to get rid of my programs, I want to get rid of this, and it's so freeing for me to be like, you don't have to. Let's just like be in partnership with them. They're doing a job, and then you are just, guiding.
Be a whole human being about it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not
love
just
that.
one-sided individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you choose which programs run the show and how big they are by which ones you feed on a daily basis. And it all goes back to the daily basis every day. And what's brilliant about that is that every day is a new opportunity. Every day is a clean slate of which to start over and be better than you were the day before.
Yeah. And, we talked, we've in the last episode especially, we talked a lot about the fear of rejection. We started this one talking about the fear of rejection. And one of the quotes I think about all the time, I heard originally from an old video recording of Tom Wilhite, the co-founder of PSI Seminars and PSI World. I know he's not the originator of this quote, but it's who I heard it from. So I hear it in his voice when I repeat it. But it's, every day man crucifies himself between two thieves, the regrets of yesterday and the fears of tomorrow. And it's like, this seems so perfect. So when I think about like fear of rejection, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be rejected, right? Like, what's the harm in putting myself out on that limb? The regrets of the mistakes I may have made or the rejections I experienced yesterday, okay, that's over with and done with. So it's like, it feels like the solution is just to be present, right?
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up here. Thank you so much, Renee. Thanks, Mackenzie. If you want to learn more about PSI seminars, head over to psiseminars.com. You can see all of our upcoming events and courses, and reach out if you've got any questions. Be sure to come back for our next episode. We'll be back with Renee, continuing this wonderful track on overcoming fear and rejection so we can take our power back. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining us today for the PSI Podcast.
If today's conversation sparks something for you, don't let it stop here. Share this episode with someone who's ready for their next breakthrough, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an opportunity to grow. I'm Tim Bowen.
And I'm Mackenzie O'Kelley. Until next time.